You know, it's bad when you have an election and then they breaks out the protest. But I think it's been protest either way the election. Some people are trying to get, and that's what's funny about this. Here we are 2 weeks removed from the election. But I think it's been all the states have to report their electoral college. Our state has to report what the people voted. But there are 7 states that can go against what the people voted. And the one state that's got him pushed over the top right now is Arizona. And that state, all the states, all one of the states have to report what the people voted. Our state. So if they decide to go not give him the electoral college, then he is not named our president. And neither is Hillary Clinton. Well, she ain't got it neither. They didn't want to have 270. Then it would go with whoever's got the highest, but he still would not be named president. Then that party can choose the president of the state. Now, that's a long shot. It's crazy that it's come down to this, about like our governor of our state. They have now named Roy Cooper as the winner, but our governor has got a mandatory recount going on, so it's not official. The one thing I'll say is, something like that, it should be whoever wins, wins, be done with it. It's like a church. When a church loses their pastor, no one loses their pastor, and they don't real quickly work to get another pastor in, what happens? The flock scatters, the congregation scatters, and it falls apart. Why? Because there's turmoil. That's what's going to happen to our country. So it's divided, it needs to come together. The only true way it's going to come together is through prayer. Second, Chronicles 7:14 says, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then shall I hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." That's what we need to be focusing on, is the people of God focusing together in prayer. Amen. Now that said, let me move on here. All the ladies, my wife needs to meet with you immediately following church. We are going tomorrow. I'm going to take a final vote on this because this has been up in the air. Everybody voted for it. And now people are saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to be there for it or not. How many can be at the Fletcher Christmas Parade December the 10th? Should start around 10 o'clock. All that's able to be there. Now, the reason I'm asking that is because I don't want to sign up and then us not have enough people even out on the club. Because a couple weeks ago, I had probably 35 people say it. In the last 2 days, I've had quite a few say, I don't know if I'll be there or not. It goes back to the Bible there. It's better to make a vow, not make a vow, make a vow and be break. That's biblical. So we will go ahead and we'll sign up tomorrow for the Fletcher Christmas Parade on December the 10th. I know James's brother's 15 foot, right? 16 foot. Steve, your truck's how long? Whatever 1,500 extended cab is. Yeah. 18 feet. So we'll sign that up tomorrow for the Fletcher Christmas Parade, December 10th. I I do need to bring one more thing to your attention. We called yesterday trying to get Cane Creek Community Building for a Christmas dinner. Cane Creek Community Building is booked every week in December. So we're gonna try to get Hoopers Creek. Josh knows who to get a hold of at Hoopers Creek, so we'll try to get there. If that falls through, we got two other options. I'm gonna talk to my boss, see if we can use Horseshoe First Baptist Church's fellowship hall, or we can always go out and eat. So we'll look for two other options. So we're looking at all the options, trying to weigh everything. But Brother Kenny come open us up with songs. Hopefully they won't make you sing as many as they made me sing Wednesday night.
Amen. Everybody stand. Number 130. Long years ago, I pray to be loved and be glad to set me free. I never shall all the burden from my soul rolled away. It made me I'll sing to God for He's everything. I can breathe. With faith in Him, our sin, I have the victory. I never shall forget today. Burden from my soul, the road away. It makes me happy. It makes me happy, glad and free. I'll sing it, shout it for He's everything. He's everything to me. Oh, sinner God, oh, sinner God, I give me the one you heard about to me, confess to Him, your everything. If you give me peace and joy within. I never shall forget the day. Burden from my soul, rolled away. It makes me happy. I'll sing and shout for He's everything to me. Hey. Number 396. We'll go with you. You flat with me. I'm not kidding. My way. Growing deep, precious Lord, linger near, when my life is all undone. Hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand as I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me home. I am high, I am high, I am high. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Those are dear, and the night growing near, and the day is fast and gone. At the river I stand, hide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me home. Let me stand. I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on through the night. Take my hand, precious Lord, take me home. Thank God. I once was
Josh, James, Josh will be bringing around the tithes and offerings for James' faith promise. He will be coming around and taking us to change. Brother Josh, bless us.
Dear Heavenly Father, God, as we come before you, we thank you for this opportunity to be in your house, God. We ask God to take this offering, Lord, and use it as a blessing. Bless those that have to give and those who don't. We love you to give you the praise, honor, glory for it all.
This world in a house of gold. Maybe not my God, and in my soul. But don't they know the judgment day that
Amen. Glad to save this morning.
Amen.
Amen. I'm thankful for all that God has done. Amen. How about you?
Amen.
Well, that was weak this morning. It's very weak. You got your Bibles, turn with us. Whoa. Where you at, Andrew? He disappeared on me. Hebrews chapter number 9, verse number 12. We'll start reading. We'll go back up and we'll start reading verse number 11. Turn me down just a little bit there, Andrew. I'm blowing my ears out up here.
It's that speaker.
We're going to, if the Lord will allow for just a few moments, preach on the simple thought of a perfect sacrifice. A perfect sacrifice. Verse number 11, but Christ being come on high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, this is to say, not of this building. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer, sprinkling the unclean sacrifice to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from the dead works to serve the living God. And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions that we're under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there also a necessity be the death of the testator. You think about that. For a testament is of force after men are dead, otherwise it is no strength that all while the testator liveth. Whereupon neither the First Testament was dedicated without blood. You can be seated. We'll read on here in a minute. Have you ever had to sacrifice something in your life? Now, I'm not talking about sacrificing something where you're covering your sins. I'm just talking about anything. Have you ever sacrificed something maybe that your children was able to have something? Have you ever sacrificed something so that your wife or your husband had something? Have you ever sacrificed so that your family would be in better shape? That's not a perfect sacrifice. That's a necessity sacrifice that your family's in better shape.
Amen.
But Christ came, Brother Josh, before Christ came, you had to kill a bullock, you had to shed a lamb, you had to do all this to cover your sins year to year. Year to year. Notice that. Year to year. So what that signifies, Brother Ricky, is that was not a perfect sacrifice. You had to go back and redo it every year. It was not a perfect sacrifice. See, if it would have been perfect, then once it was done in the Old Testament doctrine, it would have been done, you was good for the rest of your life. But they had to go back year to year. But in the New Testament, come somebody that they had prophesied about that was coming. Amy's going out the door. He's out the door. There was a perfect sacrifice had to come. They had prophesied about. They had told about in the Old Testament that once he died, there was no more going back and having to kill year after year.
Right. Amen.
Once it was done for good. It was one sacrifice had to be made. How many in here served time in the military? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many served in a war? 1. I appreciate all of y'all service. But now think about this, and I'm just using this for an example. Think about how many people has to serve in our military and has died on foreign soil to keep us free. And it's something that they have to defend year to year, day to day, month to month. It's something they have to defend. Our military service does. Joe, you was a first sergeant. Kenny, you was a sergeant, right? James, you was in the Air Force. You know, James, you always know James is going to take the easy road out.
Amen.
That was too simple there. You was in Army. What was you in? Army, what rank was you? Corporal. And he served, where'd you serve at? Afghanistan. I appreciate his service. Keep us free. But at any time, these men were willing to lay their lives down so that we could have freedom in this country. And every day there's men and women go out and they battle for our freedom every day. Well, we might not be in war, but there's still battles going on somewhere. They're stationed to protect our freedom. But there's, go to Washington, D.C. and walk the wall. Kira went there and walked the wall with all the names on it. With all the soldiers that have died protecting our freedom. And they all died on foreign soil to protect our freedom. While they were battling, we were sitting here living it up. Do I need to back up and get that one again? While they were battling, we were over here sitting living it up.
Right.
Amen.
And they done it where we could be able to do that.
Right.
So all these people have died to protect our freedom and are willing to die today to protect our freedom in America. But, and think about this, for all those years in the Old Testament, I'm no Bible scholar, I can't tell you how many years it was. They killed those bullocks, they killed those lambs. Where they'd be free from year to year. Then finally, after the shedding of all that imperfect blood, there was one came. I go back and I think about it, Abraham, I believe it was, I believe it was Isaac up on the mount. I think about it all the time in the Old Testament. And Isaac looks at Abraham, his dad, and says, Father, we have the altar. We have the brush for the fire. But where is the sacrifice? And Abraham answered him and said, God himself will send a sacrifice. And after saying that, he bound Isaac up and placed him on the altar and was getting ready to sacrifice his own son, because that's what he thought God had told him, and God had told him that. And when he saw how true he was to that, there's a rumble in the bushes. And a ram was caught in the bushes. And Abraham had said, God himself will send a sacrifice. And what did he do? He sent the sacrifice. Isaac got up off the table, he was undone, and they sacrificed the lamb, the ram right there. God had provided the sacrifice. You fast forward all those years, and after all of these things had been sacrificed, now it's time for the perfect sacrifice. Right. And he was born as we're getting ready to go into that season. I know that a lot of radio stations are already playing Christmas music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the one thing you don't hear much on them radio stations is talking about Silent Night, stuff like that. You don't hear about God. You hear circular Christmas music. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. You hear it in songs like Jingle Bell Rock. There ain't nothing wrong with these songs. Don't get me wrong when I'm saying this, but you don't hear much about the reason for the season. There was a perfect lamb. There was a perfect sacrifice that was born, the reason we have Christmas today. Now, and I'm going to take this vote in here this morning. Well, I want to just see how many thinks that Thanksgiving is only celebrated in the United States this Thursday. How many thinks that? Because if you do, then you're wrong. Thanksgiving is actually celebrated in a lot of countries. Anywhere we have soldiers stationed, they celebrate Thanksgiving. They're Americans. They celebrate it on foreign soil. Why do they do that? Because that's our time to be thankful, right? So, I got thinking about the perfect sacrifice this morning. Brother David, I got thinking about Thanksgiving being with that. If there's one thing we should be thankful for today, is that perfect sacrifice. Amen. What did he sacrifice so that we could be free? He sacrificed his life. And as I was getting up this morning, getting ready for church, and getting ready to go pick up Taylor, because Sunday mornings he got to have his breakfast at the house. We had good breakfast this morning. Sorry y'all missed it. We had liver mush, we had eggs, we had biscuits and gravy, and leftover bratwurst. Now there is no bratwurst left. Ricky looking at me like he can kill me right now. But I got up and I got dressed, Brother James. Then I walked in the bathroom and fixed my hair, started combing it. And I got to thinking about this. What do we do when we go to church? What is the one thing we do? What do we worry about more than anything else? Huh? Our appearance. You look at your pastor this morning, he's in a pair of Levi blue jeans and a button-up shirt. And a pair of Sperry's tennis shoes. I really don't look like someone that would be a pastor on Sunday morning, do it. You think I was worried about what I look like when I come in here? No, why? Because I come in here to worship a perfect Savior.
That's right.
Amen. You think he's worried about what kind of breeches I'm wearing? You think he's worried that I'm wearing a black and white striped button up? He ain't worried about that. He said dress in modest apparel. Is this pretty modest now? Huh? Well, I know that. But last Sunday I was in a suit and tie. Do you think he really looks at what you're wearing? No. But boy, we crimp and take care of ourselves and get ourselves ready. And we stand in front of a mirror for 20 minutes trying to get that one hair to lay down. Who are we trying to impress? Standing out there talking to Tony, needs to lean over here, turn. Tony, I had an eyebrow, he said he was worried he was going to poke his eyeball out or something. But we think about who are you coming to church to impress? It should be about the perfect Savior, perfect sacrifice. I don't come here to impress James Gregory. I don't come here to impress Joe. I had a preacher come up to me the other day, and he saw that I was growing my beard out, and he said, "Why are you doing that, brother?" I said, "What do you mean? I work outside. I'm going to have some heat on my face." How many's been here? I do it every winter. I do it every winter. I grow a beard. That don't last too long. I get tired, I'll shave it off, then I grow it back, then I shave it off, grow it back. I ain't worried about impressing some other preacher. What I'm worried about this morning is that perfect sacrifice.
Amen.
Because what did he do for me? Gave it all for me. It's like something that's really got under my skin lately. Watching these national football players bow down and won't acknowledge the American flag. I'd like to grab them up and smack them halfway to next Sunday. I like what Carolina Panthers coach told them, that if they couldn't come into the stadium and reverence the national anthem, then they did not need to be playing in Carolina. That's why you've not seen any of Carolina's players take a knee this year. If they take a knee, he's already told them they're benched and they're gone from the team next year. Well, preacher, that's me. No. Look, I owe a lot of gratitude and debt to these men in our church that has served and protected our freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Do I want to impress them? No, I don't want to impress them. But I owe a lot to them for serving our country and protecting it. So whether you realize it or not, if they hadn't served for us, you wouldn't have the choice whether you could have a tattoo or not. You wouldn't have a choice whether you could go get an earring. You wouldn't have the choice of how you wanted to dress. You would be told what to do. You'd be told, and look, in some places, if you get a tattoo and it's not approved by that country, they kill you on the spot. You're told how you're supposed to dress. Some countries, women cannot reveal their faces. How would you ladies like that? How would your husbands, now if y'all say yes to this, there's a problem with you, but how would y'all like it if your wife had to cover her face at all times? No, that's part of the reason you married her, because you was attracted to her face. But see, we got those freedoms, and it's from these men that sacrificed for us and was willing to sacrifice. You got the freedom today to serve a living God because of a man who sacrificed his life.
Right.
He was hung on the cross willingly for you, for me. Think about this morning. I know I ain't spitting and screaming and hollering and jumping like I normally do. I don't feel that. Think about the sacrifice that was given. How can you think about this. How can you have freedom without someone being tested? Well, Bridge, what do you mean? Someone had to get that freedom. Freedom of salvation was gotten by Jesus Christ. Now, freedom that we live in this country today was gotten by our men and women of the armed forces. Don't get me wrong. It was not the president. When was the last time you seen the president go out there and battle? It didn't even happen in the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln stayed locked up, out of sight. And in the South, Jefferson Davis stayed locked up, out of sight. He was during the Civil War. Who was Jefferson Davis? If you don't know your history, Jefferson Davis was the Southern States president. He was the president of the Confederate States of America, the CSA. And at the same time, Abraham Lincoln was president of the Northern States. At that time, we had two presidents in the United States. A lot of people didn't know that. We had two presidents. But they both stayed out of Dodge. They didn't lead them troops in the battle. They sent them in there. You go battle, I'm going to stay back here in my safe zone. You know what? When I got thinking about that, you know who we got thinking of in the Bible? Well, preacher, there's somebody in the Bible done that? Oh, yeah, there's a man in the Bible. I mean, he was walking side by side with God. Brother Ricky, he was God. As a young boy, God chose him. As a young boy, he had led troops into battle and won battles against giants. But there come a time in his life where he was all of a sudden, you go into battle and I'll stay back here. And while he sent his men off into battle, David at the pitch of a roof looked over on the roof and saw Bathsheba bathing. All of a sudden, he had become too big to go into battle. After leading his troops all them years into battles, into battle, led them. David didn't only just slew one giant. You read your Bible, I believe it was 5 giants total he slew. Cool. You think about it. Goliath and his 4 brothers, I believe it was. He slew them all. David did. Because he led his troops into battle. But what happened when he stayed back? And God got in his safe zone. David called Bathsheba to his room, who was the wife of one of his right-hand men. Uriah. And when Uriah, he laid with Bathsheba, she became a child. And David called Uriah back off the front line, off the battlefield, and said, go be with your wife. And instead, Uriah slept at his door. Study your Bible. I ain't telling you nothing that ain't true this morning. And when he saw that, he even got Uriah drunk. And Uriah still stayed right there. He said, no, my job is to be in the battlefield, David. My job ain't to be down there with my wife right now. David wrote a letter sent it back to the commander through Uriah. And said, put him on the front line, pull the troops back. What do you mean he said put him on the front, pull the troops back? He said put him on the front line and then pull everybody else back. And he was murdered. And Uriah carried his own death sentence. That was the guy that done this. That was a man after God's own heart. And because of the sin that David committed, see, David was supposed to build the temple. He was supposed to erect the temple. But because of the sin that David committed, the temple could not get built by David. It was passed on to his son who built the temple. And see, that's not a leader. David at one time was one of the greatest leaders you'll read about in the Bible. But at that time, David wasn't a leader. At that time, David dropped the ball. Because he got used to his safety. He got used to being safe. See, that's why Christ had to come and die. Because Christ had to lead it. He couldn't keep on trusting the priest to take care of this. He couldn't keep on trusting these other ones to do this. He had to lead. How do you lead today? You lead by an example. And that was the perfect sacrifice. He led so that I could lead. He went and died on the battlefield. But then he didn't stop there. Right? That perfect sacrifice didn't stop just at the death on the cross. Then, listen, the death on the cross, that wasn't where the battle took place. The battle took place after his death. When he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit, the battle started. What did he do? He went to paradise and he preached grace. To all those that he killed the bullocks and sacrificed them all them years, he went into paradise and preached to them. Then, Brother Joe, he got the keys of death and hell. He went into hell. He looked at Satan right in the eyes and he said, I want them keys. He got the keys. Then he went to heaven. Boy, this is where it comes in for us. I know I'm probably saying this out of order and out of sequence that it took place. But he carried that same blood that flew in his body. He walked up to the mercy seat. He looked up at his Father and he said, here's the sacrifice. He poured the blood on the mercy seat. For we can get saved. Right. Right. Then he done the greatest thing anyone could ever do. He had the first resurrection. Well, preacher, he come out victorious over the grave. I know some people say, well, preacher, years ago I preached the same thing, something that I heard preachers say. He got the keys of death, hell, and the grave. No, the Bible never says the grave. He got the keys of death and hell, and he come out victorious over the grave. He beat the grave. So that way, when we give our heart to him and we die, we pass on. We can have victory over the grave on resurrection morning. That's why he got victory over it, where we can have victory over it. I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't want to die right now. There's a lot of things I want to see happen in life. I feel like I got a lot of life left. I mean, I ain't over my peak yet. I got a lot of years left, I hope, and I pray. Well, preacher, well, whenever God calls you number, yes, I understand all that. I understand all that. And I'm ready to go when he says it's my time to go. But do I want to die right now? Do you want to die right now? No, you don't. You want to live as long as you can live to see more of your family and friends get in. I'm ready to go, but I ain't ready to go right this second. Preparations have been made. The pardon for my sins have been done. James is getting ready to be 74 years old, right? But I'm sure you don't want to die right now. No, you don't want to die right now. I would ask Joe, but Joe would say, yeah. Would. I don't want to die right now. No one really truly wants to die right now. If you want to die right now, then you wouldn't run to the hospital every time your heart hurts. If you really want to die right now, when you get real bad sick, you wouldn't run to the doctor. If you truly wanted to die right now, you wouldn't do that. But what happens when your heart starts to hurt a little bit? You take off to the hospital. You know what happens when my blood pressure starts getting a little high and I'm on that medicine? You know what I do? I get to the doctor as fast as I can get there. Why's that? Because I'm going to make sure everything stays good. Well, let me show you this. I didn't argue with that doctor when they put me on blood pressure medicine 2 years ago. I didn't argue with them last month when they put me on cholesterol pills. Why, preacher? I don't want to die right now. I'm prepared to go. I'm saved. I'm born again. Jesus died so I'd have that right, Brother Reed. But I don't want to go right now. I don't want to go right now. I don't want to go right now. So when they give me those medicines, I take them. That doctor was sitting in there about a month ago with me. I'm trying to close. I ain't about the rest of the scripture. She said, you're what? And I've been picking on Sherry. And you all know I picked on Sherry because they took our blood work at the same time. Well, they called and said her cholesterol was a little high. They never called me. And I said, well, evidently mine must be good. They never called. They never said anything. I get in there and boy, was I wrong on that one. They told her, just watch what you eat and yours will be fine. Yours really ain't that high. That lady got in there, she said, you ain't got no choice. You're going on a pill. Or yours ain't coming down. How many takes cholesterol pill? I do. You want to know something? She said, if you don't, you're going to have a heart attack. You'll have a heart attack. If you don't. And I ain't ready to have a heart attack now. Even though I'm prepared to go, I'm not ready to die. Jesus made it where I can go to heaven. But if I do die, Brother King, today, I don't want to go because of the parking thing. I know where I live. I live in the land of the free, home of the brave. Because people died for my freedom and was willing to die. I know I get to go to heaven because Jesus was willing to die and did die. That don't mean I'm ready to go today. I'm prepared. the bill is paid. It's paid. January the 19th, 2017, there's something take place here in America that only happens every 4 to 8 years. And that's pardons that will be given out by the president. Barack Obama will give out a whole list of pardons. From child molesters to serial killers to rapists, murderers. Well, he came because she ain't been charged, but he will give out a bunch of pardons. You know what a pardon means? Plain slate, done. They can't, that what you've done cannot be held against you once you've been pardoned. See, he will, the governor of North Carolina, any governor going out of office will do it, pardon people in their own. They'll probably be, they said anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 criminals between the president and the governors that go out of office be pardoned on the day before they go out of office. That's a big number. But it is telling them people, you're forgiven of what you've done. Don't worry about what happened back there. It's forgiven. It's done with. Jesus does the same thing for you. He ain't worried about what you did yesterday. Last month, last year, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. He said, I pardon you today as forgotten. That's why he was pardoned second. I am pardoning you today. That's the perfect sacrifice. That was never a hand. Let's head bow eyes closed. Do you know the perfect sacrifice today? Are you thankful today for the perfect sacrifice? See, he's willing to forgive. All because God, I pray for what I've already talked about, word, Father, Lord, I pray for God that your word helps us every day. Father, we thank you now. Tonight, we're starting at 5 o'clock, we'll be having communion. We've done that in a long time. Y'all pray for Rick, he was sleeping there in the preacher. You're right. Yeah, pick up the communion. We'll be having communion tonight, I just go to the Rick there. Just a small one. On the basic word is that run. No, when you go to the grocery store, just go back there and get unsalted. All of our stuff got ruined back there when we had all the water problems. A month ago, the basement got flooded, we had to fix all that. So, we got to keep more stuff. So we'll have communion tonight. Don't forget Wednesday night, my favorite service of the year, Thanksgiving, give thanks service, amen. See, one way I was going to read the word.
Nah.
Andrew works on the first shift on the same line as he does. I'll be at work. 1 a.m. in the morning? You realize I ain't seen that time of the night since night watch service last year? Night watch service this year will be December 31st, starting at 9 o'clock. Preaching it will be myself, Brother Josh, and Brother Andrew. We'll be preaching night watch service this year. Brother Josh's first night watch service this evening. Ready to call to preach. Norm, for 9 years, I had the same group of preachers together, almost preaching every year. And now, this year, it's really, well, not really, you got me and Andrew, and then y'all. Last year was me, Wade, Andrew, DJ. Let's remember DJ said he's got a baby due pretty soon. Right for him. I guess that baby's due January. January, remember that. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Thanksgiving service. Tonight, 5 o'clock. So, amen. And everybody knows what Thursday is.
Turkey Day.
That is the day the Bible says not to blood. That's the one day it's hard not to blood. I got an 18.5 pound turkey sitting in the house. What time are they show up? 2 o'clock. We're eating at our house at 2 o'clock. Everyone's welcome. Really?
I'll be shopping at 6.
I really want them. Yes, did all the Sunday school classes get your Christmas cards done? Yeah, just have them done by the second Sunday in December, and that Sunday night we were going, instead of doing a Christmas play, the last 2 years we went and done caroling. And I had a time and had me fun. We're going to Fletcher, right? Where's that? I thought we was going to Fletcher. We went there last year. Yeah. Well, I understand that, that's where they treat it, but I'd like to do Fletcher. We went, how many went last year on it? You'll laugh, we'll cry, you'll have fun. And we're gonna try to do 2 nursing homes, and I'd like to go back to my grandparents, my grandpa's house, like we did last year. And sing that. Well, we're gonna stay outside for it, amen. We'll make them come out on the porch. Last year he about roasted us out. You got 40 people inside his house singing, and he had his oil heater turned up to about 95. It was bad. Go pray, come pray. Don't forget to tell someone about Jesus. Don't forget tonight's service.